This is TF from Team Pumpenstein, and I'm on a mission from Rod. Alright, right now we're going to break apart the grip. There's really not a lot of reasons to do this, and it's not a tough piece of technology. What you're going to want to do is, I would take this off real quick. Those are 1/8 screws there, and all that does is spread that rail apart and takes that off. There is an O-ring. I'll go into this. There is an O-ring in here. If you get some leaking out of that, you're going to want to go in there and take that O-ring off. That's hater sauce that's on there from the factory. Again, Dow 55 on there, and put that back in. There's a bleed hole there. And this little dude, that's an extra tank O-ring. So if you need that, rob it off the front, and you can use it for that. Set that aside. And we're going to take off the auto trigger arm. Now this comes off, usually just slides right out, but if it doesn't, it's because the trigger is holding it in. Take your the appropriate screw or Allen key, which is a 3/32, which I grabbed the wrong one again. 3/32, back that out just like a half turn, full turn, and wiggle that out. You should never have to take this screw out here. Never should come apart. It's Loctited in. Leave it alone. This is stainless. You're never going to have a problem with that part there. Never replaced one. The next thing to take out is take off the grip panels. You only need to take off one. Well, you can take off both, but these are the custom Pumpenstein grip panels there. Very fancy. And then what you're looking for here is this screw. This screw holds in the pin that holds in the sear. So again, 3/32, turn that out, and that can be Loctited as well. If it was very light. Take that off. It's a tiny little dude, so set that aside. You can Loctite when you put it back in. I would use blue Loctite. Take the other grip panels off. Again, important to have the ball end Allens. Makes things a lot easier. Set the grip panels aside, and then use your smallest Allen key. This is use a .050 if I can grab it. .050, and push. Use this hole here, and push out the pin that holds everything else in, and dump that out. Set those aside for now. Use 1/8 and take this shoulder bolt off. That's the only thing that's holding the trigger in. That's going to be Loctited as well, blue Loctite. Take that out, pull the trigger out. And as you can see, the frame is empty now. There's nothing left, except for a couple of screws that you don't need to take out. The over travel screw is there. That's what you can see down, submerged down there. And I think that's actually it. Wipe that all down. Use a rag, use a spray bottle, and wipe that down, especially if you get a hit inside. You're going to want to get in there, and that's where the Q-tips work real well. I would advise I got these little effeminate pink dudes here. That's because I'm secure in my manhood. But I would advise going to a medical supply place and getting some of those long handle guys and taking those apart. Simple water and soap will clean off any of the paint and the grime or anything else that's on there. Clean that apart. Clean that up, I mean. And set that aside. Now, let's take a look at the trigger. The trigger is, and this has got paint or something on it. That was what was making it sticky. You can really make a fast trigger by keeping this clean. Now, let me show you something here. This spot, this little ledge right here, let me get a pointer. This little ledge right here should be flat. Should be flat. You will start to get a divot on that after your auto trigger wears on it. If you start to get a V shaped here, replace this trigger. It's dirt cheap. Chipley used to even have a bearing here, and they don't anymore. They have a little, almost like a bead. It acts as a bearing, and it works just fine. It probably makes it a little bit less expensive. And so get that replaced when that starts to divot. This one is new looking, so don't worry about it. I would add a little bit of lubrication on that ball bearing. or that bearing I should say, used to be again a ball bearing, but now it's not. And a simple bearing, make sure that's rolling, because that rolls on your sear. If I can find where I put the sear, there it is. That rolls on your sear. That rolls on the bottom part here. Now, what I do to pimp out mine a little bit is I would polish this up, and I would polish it in 2 spots, well 3 actually. I'd polish this back ramp here where it connects, where it ramps up when it catches the lug. I'd polish this spot back here, and this is actually ground at the factory. I'd polish that where it releases from the lug, and I would polish this spot right here where it rolls on the trigger. Polish those 3 up. What I use is jeweler's rouge on a buffing wheel. Polish them up. Now you don't have to be that, you can even hand polish it, or you can leave it alone. It's not that big of a deal, but that's what I do. So do that. And then you want to clean everything up and put everything back together. So let me show you how that works. Grab your frame. The first thing you're going to want to put back in is your trigger. Now when you do that, you're going to put this shoulder bolt back in. Let me get it clean first. And this is a little bit tricky. When you put this back in, you want to add a dab of blue Loctite on the bottom of that trigger, or that screw. You want that to hold, and you shouldn't take this out very often. You just don't need to. So just a dab, and I put it just a little bit on the threads there. And then when you're putting it back in, the last thing you want to do is to over tighten this bolt. The reason for that is this bolt, if it's over tightened, gets sandwiched against the trigger and makes it sticky. Let me show you what happens. Pull the trigger and it's sticky. It's hard to move. You want to back that out just about a quarter turn, and you want that to flop back and forth. Let me show you what that looks like when you get it all back together. I'll show you how that works. The next thing you want to put in is the spring that goes in the frame. If I can find the spring. I seem to be losing my stuff. There it is. Put the spring in. That seats right in there. No problems. The sear, which I just had in my hand, and I'm going to use a sear pin. Hello, there it is. So this is going to be a little bit tricky as well, but what you got to do is line it up with that hole and put the pin back in. Sometimes what I do is I'll grab that small wrench again, and I'll line it up with the hole on, there we go, and I'll use that to help me guide in this pin. There it is. Alright, so put that pin back in. Use your 1/8 screw. A little dab of blue Loctite on this one too if you want to. I tend not to. I'm a rebel that way. I'm crazy. Tighten that down. Now check this out. That's a good snappy trigger. That's exactly what you want. What you don't want is this. Hey, that still works. Try again. It's still that way. If you can over tighten this, there. Now it's sticky. It's not snappy anymore. You're going to want to back that out just a little bit from that. You want it nice and snappy. Okay? Drop that in. And that's it for your trigger. You just got to put the grip frames, the grip panels back on, but that's easy to do. But that's it, man. You just want to clean that every now and again and make sure it's fast and snappy. All right, that's it. Thanks.